And take a look at Nancy's challenging lifestyle.
I've been in the fire department 24 years. I've been a captain for 10 years. And when I first heard that they were going to hire women, it came as somewhat of a shock because at the time there weren't any female firefighters. And it was my understanding that San Diego was going to be sort of a test city.
Physical strength is probably the biggest point of contention about women coming on the fire department. I think I spent my first year on the job going from station to station drilling. They'd always pick their heaviest guy and say, okay, show us you can drag this guy out of a building. And you'd get down and you'd drag him out, you know. But it was good because it showed them that I could do it.
The reactions from the members of the fire department to the females coming on the job probably ranged from total acceptance to total rejection.
They'd kind of look at you like, ah, yeah, you're just trying to, you know, be some blatant libber, you know, you're going to prove that women are equal and all that stuff. I'm like, oh, no, that's not it either. And explain that I just wanted to support my son. I wanted some security for us. That was my, you know, my main motivation. And then I looked around and found that the fire department did have that flexibility with time where you only work 10 days a month. And so there'd be a lot of time at home. And the pay was good. I was essentially looking for a man's job. I knew that I was going to have to do something that was probably pretty non-traditional to get a reasonable pay, where I could afford a babysitter so I could afford to work and support us.
You know what? I want you to brush your teeth and feed the fish before we go.
I got a lot of criticism at first. People thought I was nuts, basically. You want to be a fireman? What about your boy? You know, and the issue of leaving him for 24 hours would come up all the time. That seemed to be the primary concern. What time do you usually go to bed? About 7:30 at Carol's? I think that's what she said tonight. About 7:30. 10:30.
Yes, I do.
Finding childcare was a big problem for Nancy because of her 24-hour schedule. She needed to find someone who could understand her situation. She found a woman whose husband is also a firefighter. It happened to be her neighbor, Carol Simpson.
Hello. Howdy. Good morning. Hi, Daddy. I can relate to it. My husband being a fireman and gone, and he's gone during that time that I have Nat here because he's on the same kind of a schedule, all the same days. And, I definitely can understand it. I know it would be really hard for me to do something like that and leave my child for a 24-hour period.
Bye, Mom.
Come on, Addie. Let's go in the house. Good boy.
The fire station is like a home away from home. Like, we do have to live together for 24 hours at a time. You know, 10 days a month, 56 hours a week, we are forced to live together. You learn to communicate more than anything.
B Division had a fire yesterday, and there's some dirty equipment, and that'll have to be cleaned up today. And check the hose.
And part of that communication is the creation of trust. The biggest challenge for these men has been accepting the women as real partners who they can trust with their lives.
I was probably one of the most skeptical. The biggest thing that changed my mind is in working with them. I haven't seen a female yet, at least the ones that we have on, that are not pulling their own.
I like doing my job, but I don't want to be a man. I just want to be thought of as a competent female. Sure, you need strength. And I've found with myself that a lot of it's just in my head. It's a matter of just setting my mind to what I'm doing. A lot of weakness comes from fear. And, you know, if you're in an environment where you're doing something scary in the first place, and you're being scrutinized pretty closely by your fellow employees, the fear enters into it and tends to weaken you at first. And it seems that with women, like, you come on the job and you start realizing that, yeah, I'm not quite so weak as I thought I was, or as weak as they said I am. But if, you just drill. So you can go on an incident and just concentrate on that, and you find that the strength is there. I'm out at a fire somewhere, and to know that Nat is sitting there waiting for me to call.
Good evening, Evening, everyone. At this hour, a greater alarm fire continues to burn out of control. Information is still hard to come by. You are seeing the first videotape from the scene of that fire. Shot.
Hi. Hi. Hold on a second. Natty, your mom's on the phone. Come here. Oh, you're getting heavier often. There you go. Okay.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, sweetie. How you doing?
I went to this place.
Calling him is a very important thing to me. I miss him during the day. I love you, sweetheart. I miss you.
I love you, Mom. Okay, I will. Okay, sweet dreams. Okay. Good night, Mom.
Good night, sweetie. Bye-bye. I think about him a lot during the day and wonder what he's doing, because it's 24 hours. He's in the care of someone else and part of somebody else's family, essentially.
Did you have fun today?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, what a good one. Thanks. Great.
Kids are really flexible, and they don't have to be in a traditional situation. It doesn't have to be Ozzie and Harriet, you know, with Mom and Dad. So how'd you do yesterday?
Fine.
Yeah? Did you get a good night's sleep? I see other single moms that are in jobs outside of the fire department really struggling, and we've basically got it pretty good here. You know, I'm not going to work 40 hours a week where I'm coming home and giving Nat his dinner and putting him to bed, and that's our contact, you know. I get to spend a whole day, you know, or I get to spend a whole series of days with him. He is aware of the possibility that I could die. You know, he has asked me what happens if you don't come home. I tell him that he wouldn't be abandoned. There were enough people around that really love him that you know, he certainly wouldn't be an orphan left out in the cold. And I tell him that I do all I can, you know, to take care of myself, and that I want him to do all he can to take care of himself so we can be together.
Oh, boy, isn't that a great relationship? Times really have changed. I wonder if Nat says, I want to grow up to be a firefighter, just like my mom. You know, even though Nancy's job is physically demanding and dangerous, she hopes to advance to the rank of engineer and then captain at her own station. And as you can see, jobs that involve a certain element of risk are now providing stimulating work and, more importantly, a good income for working moms.